Hello and welcome to 2023 Advent of Code. We are literally less than a minute away for our very first challenge of this year. I'm very excited and I hope that you're excited too. And try it out. Try it out. Just try to solve it yourself. I know, like, hey, why are you watching this video if you haven't tried to solve it yourself? Um, and yeah, it's 30 seconds. This is the page. I'm logged in already, and you can see here I have my script ready for copying the first day once we hit that time in less than 20 seconds now. And yeah, again, try to do it yourself and then come back and see how do I do this and give me advice. I'm just an average programmer, and if you have anything cool to share, I would like to know. I'll probably be looking at some stuff myself afterwards, but we are literally to start in 2, 1, 0. Let's go. It should be downloading it right now. If I refresh the page right now, it should be right there, down there. Oh, only one single star. Okay. 50 stars, 1 star. Okay, it's just a beginning. You try to ask this weather machine, not powerful enough. And we're standing the sky, your map, blank, triple shape, please hold still. Okay, as they're making this is my example. First in the last stage of that order. Can I tell you entire calibration document? What is the sum of all of the calibration values? This example, the calibration value of these 4 lines is 1, 2, okay, 3, 8, okay, first stage and last stage. New improved calibration. On each line, the calibration value can be found by combining the first digit and the last digit in that order to form a single 2-digit number, and then we summing them. Perfect. So we have day 1 already ready, and we're gonna go to main, and we say this, and we're gonna say 142. Okay, so there is values in each of those. Now we're gonna go through line by line. I need to go line by line. Okay. And boom. And then each line I'm doing something. So I want to go through it digit by digit. Oh my goodness. Again, I've been working with JavaScript, Python and Rust, and now it's just confusing how I do this char. I shouldn't be needing to research that. Python string by I can do substring. I can do substring for I in range line dot line length. Does that work? Print I. Yeah, no, it doesn't know. It doesn't know this is a length of line. There we go. Okay, so we get the individual length of the lines, which is good. We're going through all of them, and then I want to say line, and then I, and then 1, because it's a length of 1. Does that work? No, I plus 1. We want the end, not the length. Okay, so now we're going through each of those. So what we want to say now, first equals none. Last equals none. And I'm gonna say each time if is numeric. If it's numeric, then I want to say last equals this, and if first equals none, then we want to say first equals this as well. Is this correct? DT, it doesn't know DT yet. That's correct. Boop, and boop. I don't have values yet. Print first, last. I want to make sure that this is correct. 771, that looks good. That probably wants to say is, which is okay. So now the first digit, so t, so I'm gonna say total equals 0, and then total plus equals first times 10, because it's a 10th digit, plus last. And then we return total. Oh, of course. These are all still strings. Forgot about that. Don't worry, I'll be going through this. Boom, solution. There we go. Add enough code. Bam, submit. First gold star, perfect. The calculation isn't quite right. It looks like some of the digits are actually spelled out with letters. Ooh, okay. Okay, they also count as valid digits. Now, this becomes a tiny bit more interesting. With this new information, you now need to find the real first and last digits. Okay. Ooh. Okay, this is interesting. This is 281. Should be the new example. Actually, I have two examples. Which is kinda annoying. S2 equals, and what was it? 281, and then I want to say solve, and then I only want the first one out of this, and solve S2 with that, answer 1 and answer 2. I need to make sure that those are something like this as well. Okay. Okay. Yeah, these are still none. Okay, now it's interesting because we can get more than just this. So I want to say I need a little dictionary. Big total equals 0 because I want both answers. So I'm gonna say values or number digits equals. Say 0 is 0, and that needs to be a string. 1, 2 equals 2, 3 equals 3, 4 equals 4. See, other people will have already solved it. I'm really curious to find out what other people have done. 6 equals 6. 7 equals 7. 8 equals A. And 9 equals 9. Okay, now we have all the digits as string and the numeric value, which is helpful. And yes, Python wants this to be on another line. Okay, so now I don't just want to go +1. For j in range. Now, what's the longest out of those? 3 is 5, 7 is 5, 8 is 5. So the maximum I need to go out is 5. Okay, in range 5 +1, which is fine because 0 I don't actually want. So, j is numeric, and j equals +1, j equals 0. This is the only case where we want to do it as a pure number, is if it's 1 digit long and if it's numeric. Now, if it's not the case, then I want to check if line I, and then really I should say this is my value, right? val, and then because actually I did notice that I just made a mistake and I need to do this one needs to be val now, and this needs to be val. I can just say if val in doesn't work because it would check by keys. Python or dig dig find value, get key by value. Yes. Raw input for keys values. No, next 16. No. Okay, so val dot if val dot if digits dot values dot get find, and I'm going to say val. No, wait, what? Basically, it separates distinction values in a list, finds the position of the value you have. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. And then I say digits dot keys, and I use that in there. Okay. And that's my value then. Okay, last equals val. Actually, that's my string val. String val is this. I need to make sure that this find is not 0. Is not none. Then I want string value. Then I'm gonna do all of this like I did before, but with string value. This should work. Find dictionary values object has no. I need to make it a list. Oh, okay. Just for speed, I can clean it up in a second. That should do that bit, but it does the same. What? Why is it not working now? Sorry for that. Sorry for that. List my dict values. Why does find not work? Why does find not work? List has no attribute. Find. How to find in list? Python find in list. If this in. Does that also work with if val in digits? Print val. That wouldn't work because, yeah, no. Yes, that doesn't work because it's looking for the keys. Map list equals map of values. List the values. Dictionary values, yes. But then how do I find in list Python? dot index. Okay. Optional. Takes 3 parameters. Item. Okay. Start and end. So, I guess the other post did talk about that. Okay, so let's undo some of this stuff. So not find, but index. That's what I really want. And then I need to make sure that this is also in a list, because otherwise it doesn't like it. Okay, I is not in list. Yes, which I know. I guess here I can say val in test not successful. I should be getting, I'm getting 0 right. Oh, because big total, and that's actually a mistake as well. Ooh. Uh, uh, that's fine. That's fine. I just do. This is true. This is true. It's now giving me errors. Let's stop with the tests because usually it used to work, but when it does like stuff like this, it does tend to break. Just print out the solution. I just want the solution. Solve. And then skip all of this. Okay, I think that's it. Ta-da! And that was day 1. Okay, let me talk you through what happened. I did try to go time it fast. Let's actually see how far I made in the leaderboard. Nowhere near the top. Personal times. I made it rank 1914 for the first part. I was more confident about the first part than about the second part, but I scored better in the second part. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. Top 2000. Top. Yeah. I'm happy with this. I know these leaderboards up here. Those are very. These are all well-known names that we know from the last few years as well. Definitely worth looking at their solutions because their solutions are always super pretty. But feel free to look at this as well if you are interested. So, what was my thinking process as we went through this? Okay, what was my thinking process? So, first one, oh, and they usually make a nice picture down here as well, by the way, but we'll probably see more of that one that is later. I skimmed through most of it. I knew a lot of them in the beginning would be fluff, and I might read through it later just to get through it. But I really focused on this last sentence here. I focused on the example. And then usually the text before the example is also very helpful. So what is the sum of all the calibrated values? And then I was like, okay, what are the example values? 12, 38. And I was like, how would they get out of these? And then I did see already 12, 38. I see them in the text. And then just to confirm that that is what it is, I read this line. It's the first and last digit in that order to form a single 2-digit number, and then we are adding the summing those together. Okay. Now I might have missed something, but apparently that was good enough. In the second part, it also gave us the idea that, hey, there can be also words in it that also form this number. Okay. And if the word is before the digit, like here, 219, this one actually doesn't count for anything. It's the 2 then that counts for something, and then I need to keep that in mind. So that gives me 2 different solutions. How did I now go about? I do want to fix this up, and I'll do that before I upload that in the repository because it has 2 examples. I need to find a way to have 2 examples work, with two solutions as well. Actually, that wasn't the problem. The problem really was me messing here this total up, because this total, in the first part I only want this I only want the second part. So I need to write a little code here to also say, hey, are you actually from the first or from the second part? Which is okay. Yes. So how did I do this? I have digits. This is just a simple dictionary where I have the value and a key. I wonder actually if I could have swapped it around, have the text as the first and then the value as the second. That could have made things easier. Actually, that would have made things a lot easier here. A lot of my time was fiddling with that, and I didn't even realize. I feel like I'm just so used to have numbers as the first. In that case, I could have actually also the actual easiest thing is just to have a dictionary, because I have them all in order, and then just use the index. So I will actually adjust to that to list instead of dic, and use the index as a value. That'll make things way easier. Because down here I had to fiddle around with, like, how do I get the digits and the keys and stuff like this, which I'll talk about. So we need every single line. We need to go through every single line. And then I want to write the first digit and the last digit. At the very end, I total those, added to a total. The first digit I multiply by 10, because the first digit is the 10th digit, and the last digit is just a single digit. So first times 10 plus last, and then that is our total. Now, the way that I do this is I go in through character by character, and for the second part, I also need to check, hey, I also don't want to just go single character. I also want to go through different ranges of character. It doesn't make a word. That's a very brute force method. Definitely not the fastest one, but it's a brute force method to do this. Now I take the value of this I, okay, and how do I do this? The starting position is I, the end position is r plus j plus 1, because j starts at 0, but the range must be at least 1 long. So I plus j plus 1. And then for the first part, all I need, if this value is numeric and j equals 0. So if the length is 1, and this happens to be numeric, like a digit, right? Then I found something. Now what I do, just so that I don't have to check, hey, is this the last time I found a digit? I just every single time write this digit as last. Every single time, hey, I found a digit, put it in last, because that's the last one I found, right? And the next time, hey, I found a digit, hey, that's the last one I found. Hey, I found a digit, that's the last one I found, right? It does it every single time to make it easier for me to realize, hey, I don't actually need to check is that the last digit. It's just there's no new digits afterwards. And then I check if first is none, only then I add in first. And that is it for the first part. That is super easy. For the second part, I now use that list up there. And that took me so long, and I'm really frustrated. So I will rewrite this and upload it to my repository in a better way. But here the idea is essentially, find is the value in the list. So does it spell out one of those digits? 2, 3, 1, 6, 5, and so on. Right? If it does, then I want to use the value that it comes with. I want to take that value, right? And that was that complicated line. And there I had to find, like, because digits.key sets an iterator, so I need to actually make it a list. And then I want to actually address the list. How do I do that? I want to need to use digits.value, make this a list because it's also an iterator, then find the index of value. that was annoying, and I don't want to do this again. Um, last, and then I do the exact same thing as I did up there. And then where I struggled is that I actually didn't separate between total and big total and gave those two out. And then this could have fixed that down here. All of this will be resolved in my thing later. I didn't need any of these functions. And yes, I hope this has been helpful just to see how I think through these types of things. And I'm interested to see what other people have. You have a good day. Bye. Okay, I'd like to make a really quick addendum to my video and just show you my changes. So I've changed now the digits here. 0 through 9 is just an array now, or list, sorry for that. Just so that I can fit both solutions into one. That's what I like to do. Just have solve and then have them both come out of it. It might not necessarily be the cleanest, but I really like to do it in my final solutions. It's just something that I do. You don't have to do it the same way. But because of that, sometimes it means I need to keep track of two things. I'm keeping track of total and the big total. I do realize the big total can actually be smaller. If the first and the last digit actually happens to be smaller than the first one, obviously the big total is actually a smaller total. But in my head, it's like, oh, it must be bigger. No, but that's just what it is now. I could rename it, but we keep it for now. We do our usual going through the lines. Now I have first and last, and first digit and last digit. This first and last digit, it only does the individual digits, while first and last is also the words, which is interesting. So we're doing what I've already showed you that I would do. Now I've added, if it's a single digit, I've added that it adds it to both last and last digit, because hey, we care for it that it's the last and not just the last digit. We want to know, hey, with last, if it's a word or a digit, I still care about it. So I add it in this way, and then I have two guards here as well with none. And then for this case, now look how much easier and cleaner that is. Eval in digits, because I don't have to mess with this whole array thing. And this just shows how important it is to set up your data structures correctly. If you don't set up your data structures correctly, you get errors or you get like just super complicated things that you don't need. In this case, a simple list was more than sufficient. I just need to know my list functions. Okay, and then here all I need to do is digits.index because it's already a list. I don't need to go through keys, I don't have to go through values. It is a lot easier. And then I do the exact same thing, except here I don't do the digit ones because this one is not a digit, it's a word as a digit. And then here the totaling, that's where I keep track of separately. Now the normal total from the first one, sometimes that might not work. At least in our big example, it might sometimes not work that because one of them might be none, right? And then we don't add anything to the total. But a big total, we always add something because there is always something in there, right? So, and then we return those. And then down here, actually like I did, so what's happening here is I'm actually splitting, I'm doing two solves, one with one example, one with the other example, and in each of them I only use half of it, and then I'm comparing it with my solutions over here. And the validate solution is just, hey, it goes through each of the solutions, it checks if they're correct, and only then in my main function does it show me the actual solution of the puzzle. And that way, if it's wrong, I will see those straight away. If it's not, I will see my two solutions that I care about. And in this case, my big solution is actually, my big total is actually bigger than my small total. So I'm happy about that. One more thing, I've looked at somebody else that uploaded. So Jonathan Paulson has already also uploaded his advent of code. And like I said, I always like to look back and see, hey, what do other people do differently and what can I learn from this? And this is really what I encourage you to do as well. Just look and see what can you learn, what can you take away to make things easier. And one thing that I've known the last few years as well, he's a lot cleaner and a lot smaller with the way that he works in his setup. I have all of these big setup things, but that way I don't need to remember every single time, hey, sys arg, read, strip, all of these different things, right? I don't have to worry about any of this. It's just there for me. It makes it easier. But he also has two solutions, and he it seems to go through both solutions in one run as well. Um, the interesting thing here, P1 and P2 digits, he just adds them all, and then he goes, and then he so every single digit that he finds, he adds into a list. Instead of like I say, hey, this is the first one, this is the last one, he just adds them all to a list, and then works from there. So he takes the first one, 0, and the last one by -1, which is that works as well. I just don't think you need to use all of it. But this is, I guess, if it's probably quicker to program because you only have to initiate two parts, two arrays in this case. But I'm glad to see that he had to do the same. Just what I called first and first and last digits. He has P1, part 1, and part 2 digits. Now, here's what I like he does different. Instead of going to find the index of the of my array from the word that I found, it's to see if it's in the list or not. What he does, he goes through the list. So he enumerates this list. By enumerating, he is pairing each entry to an index. So he has D for the digit and then the value. Now, what he does, he goes through the line and checks, hey, is that actually there? And then if it is, then he appends it to his list. So he does it the other way around, and I need to look at starts with what exactly that is. But he essentially is doing it the other way around. I look for every single bit of the input and check it with my list. Hey, is that a valid word? But what he does is he checks every single valid word and goes through the list of through the input, and this is also an interesting thing to consider. And yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this and it's been helpful. And I see you tomorrow. Auf Wiedersehen.